Hello guys, how's Black Desert for you? For me it was actually very nice up until about 2 weeks ago, because 2 weeks ago we got a patch that increased the soft cap in experience for every class. So basically since this patch, every class that is level 60 and under is getting more experience than they used to before. So basically you need less experience to level up. And the reason why I'm saying that it used to be nice before is because I'm running a project that is testing the grinding speed for every class, and since this patch came I basically cannot accept any more data because the experience isn't as it used to be before. So the topic for today's video is to basically see exactly how much the experience increased, so that I can basically get an estimate about how the experience can be converted from today's experience to the one that used to be before. Now please note that I'm not saying that I don't like this patch, because I myself have a level 59 berserker and I actually like this experience decrease because it allows me to hit level 60 on my berserker faster, and also it allows me to have a reason to grind on my level 60 wizard. But the reason why I'm saying that it used to be better before is because now I actually have an extra problem to solve if I want to keep the experience videos comparable to the ones that I already have. So to talk a little bit about how I'm going to be testing this, basically since the patch came I did a few tests on my berserker and on my wizard, and I'm going to be comparing the data that I got after the patch with the data that I got before the patch on the same rotations with the same gear, and also in most cases with the same level. The only exception is my berserker that was level 58 at the time of the testing after the patch, and before the patch it was 57. But I actually did remove the level 58 skills as in to simulate the level 57 berserker. So there shouldn't be that much of a difference, because without the level 58 skills my berserker is just a level 57 character. Now let's not make the intro too long and just get started with the actual test. So the first test that I did was on my berserker, and as I said, after the patch he was level 58. So I basically removed all of the level 58 skills that I learned after leveling up just to simulate the level 57 character. And I only tested the Sosan's extra rotation once, just because it was taken too much and I just couldn't be bothered to return over and over to do a second test. And in this one test I basically grinded exactly 10 minutes, and if I reduce the experience all the way down to 100% ratio, then I got about 0.026% experience per minute. So that's the value that I got after the patch on a level 58 character, and if I convert that one to 57 it should be exactly twice the amount, so I should get about 0.052% at level 57 on my berserker after the patch. Now taking this value of 0.052 and comparing it to the one that I got before, basically I just extracted the part of the video where I tested the exact same rotation on my berserker before the patch, and back then I got about 0.040% experience per minute on the exact same rotation with the exact same gear, and the only difference was that I was level 57. So comparing these two values, basically the result is that I got about 31% more experience after the patch. Now the only reason why I actually proceeded after this to test on my wizard as well is because in my opinion converting the level 58 data to a level 57 data just isn't as accurate as testing on a character that was the same level before and after. So in my wizard's case I actually was level 60 before the patch, and I did some tests at level 60, and I just did the same tests again after the patch. So now let's move on to talk about the wizard data. Leaving the berserker data aside, on my wizard I actually tested 3 different rotations. So the first one that I'm going to be talking about is again the extra rotation at Sosan's, basically the same one that I tested on my berserker. So starting off with this one, this time I actually got to test it twice. So on my wizard I did 2 runs on this rotation, both of 10 minutes, and if I make an average out of those 2 runs, then I got about 0.0056% experience per minute at level 60. So again, this is going to be the base data after the patch, and if I extract the part of the video where I tested this rotation before the patch, then back then I got about 0.0041% experience per minute. So again, doing the same thing by comparing these two values, basically the difference between them is about 35% experience per minute. So already after only 2 tests, I can say that the difference between my Berserker's data and my Wizard's data is pretty inconsistent, because one got 31% and the other one got 35%. So that's why I actually think it was a good idea to test on my Wizard more than one rotation. Now moving on, after this one, the next rotation that I tested on my wizard is the main rotation at Soson's Solo, because I got to test this one once before and it actually turned out to have a very nice experience. To my knowledge, it was actually the best experience in the game if it was actually grinded solo. And after the patch I got in one day to grind this rotation again solo, and I tested it initially for a totally different video, but I'm going to be using the data in here. And sadly this time I only got to test it once on daytime and another time on nighttime. So for the main rotation, the first test was exactly 10 minutes on daytime and I got about 0.069% experience per minute, and the second test was actually during the night time, and I took into consideration that nighttime is exactly 50%, and again reducing the experience back to 100%, this one was 0.0071%. So since the values are pretty close to each other, I basically concluded that the nighttime is exactly 50%, and I made an average out of these two numbers. So the average out of those two numbers is 0.0070%, and extracting the part of the video where I tested this rotation before the patch, back then I got 0.0050% experience per minute. So again, doing the same thing by seeing the difference between these two numbers, the difference this time is about 38% increase after the patch. So again, even more inconsistent data. So at this point I was pretty sad, because getting 3 different values, the pretty big difference between them, made me sad, because I couldn't figure out what was the exact increase after the patch. So I moved on, testing a 4th rotation at Bandits. So the last rotation that I tested was again on my level 60 wizard at the cliffside rotation at Bandits. Now here at Bandits, again I got to test the rotation twice, the first time for 10 minutes and the second time for 11 minutes. And making an average out of those 2 runs, basically the experience was about 0.0064% experience per minute, and that was the value after the patch. And the time that I actually tested it before the patch was for the grinding speed project, so I just took that value, which was back then 0.0048% experience per minute. So again, comparing these two values from before and after the patch, the difference is about 32% experience per minute. So yet again a 4th value that doesn't match the ones from before. Now, I know that I probably should have mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but I want to say that for all of these rotations, I basically grinded the exact same rotation before and after, and on both runs before and after, I didn't loot anything from the ground manually, and I tried to grind as fast as I possibly could. So in my perspective, or from my perspective, the runs should have been the exact same speed before and after, and I can basically prove that because I tested twice every run, and on most cases both runs had about the exact same experience. So That's why I'm saying that it's pretty weird how I got 4 different values and all of them are basically ranging from 31% to 38% increase in experience. So at this point in the video, let's just make a short recap because I kind of rushed through the data and I'm not sure if I confused anyone or not. So basically I tested 4 different times, 3 times on my wizard and once on my berserker, and I got 4 different values ranging from 31%, 35%, 38% and 32% increase in experience on basically 3 different rotations: the Sosan's main spot, the Bandit's cliffside rotation, and the Sosan's so-called extra rotation, how I named it. So at this point I just want to make an average out of these 4 values, and I'm going to say that the average increase in experience is about 35% or somewhere there after the patch, because I may need to do some further testing to actually get a proper value, but from these 4 different tests, basically what I can see is that people used to say or told me that the increase after the patch is about 25%, but in my case none of my tests got under 30%, so clearly the experience increase after the patch is either 30% or 35% or just anywhere above 30%. So at this point I'm not sure if I missed anything or if there's something else I should have been talking about, but basically I'm about done with the video. My conclusion is that the experience increase is about 35%, and if you guys really want me to do another test on this topic, then I may do some further testing to see if the value is of course 35% or if I was actually wrong and it is somewhere below or above. So yeah, let me know in the comment section below if you want me to do some further testing on this, and since the video is over I want to say thanks for watching and I hope to see you guys next time.